So, Merry Boxing Day. There is a war on Boxing Day. I have no idea, but for some reason, nobody talks about Boxing Day. Everybody remains silent. If you go up and you say Merry Boxing Day to these Merry Christmas assholes, right? They're shitty about their Merry Christmas. Put that shit right up in your fucking face, right? Well, how about, Merry fucking Muhammad Day, motherfucker? How about Merry goddamn Kwanzaa Day? Yeah, Merry fucking Christmas. These Merry Christmas assholes are hypocrites. And also, speaking of hypocrites, the Democrats. You got a lot of liberal Democrats who, finally Donald Trump does something right. Donald Trump should be celebrated as a goddamn motherfucking hero for ending the Syrian war. He is actually scaling back. If you have a rooster on top of a house and it lays an egg, which side does the egg go on? Roosters don't lay eggs, but the point is, if you're an empire, Donald Trump represents American fascism. So does American fascism mean that we're going to start holocausting a bunch of people and doing this shit like Adolf Hitler and all these other fucking evil genociders throughout history? Or is he going to scale back the empire? So the fact that he's scaling back, fascism has been unleashed all over the world, including in the United States. Fascism is all over the place. So American fascism, American-style fascism. So are we going to try to restrain this beast? Are we going to try to bring this beast to heel? Or are we just going to keep on letting it, get bigger and bolder and allow it to go out and discover and create new crimes? So this whole thing is actually about the border. But I just wanted to make sure the Democrats, don't worry, Donald Trump is still killing Syrians. He killed about 500 of them recently, right? So I'm sure they're all bad guys. So don't worry, Democrats. You're going to sit there and tell me that it's the worst idea in the fucking world to, get Donald to withdraw. He's been conducting the fucking war for 2 years. You're going to trust then Donald, and Donald you trust to conduct the Syrian war. I guarantee if he would have tried to convince you of a fucking Syrian war, you assholes would have been against him. So, what a bunch of hypocrites. Don't worry, Democrats. He's still murdering and bombing. He's drone striking and deporting at the height of Obama, right? He's right there with Obama and the Clintons. He is, just as militaristic as the left has been, if not way fucking more. So he needs to be restrained. He needs to be restricted. So, again, do you want him? We could be an empire, either an Adolf Hitler empire, a bad empire, or a good empire, right? We're already a fucking empire. So, either we can be a good empire, a benevolent empire that goes and helps the fucking world, or just straight up say, you know what, we're a bunch of selfish fucks, and we're going to take over the goddamn world and do whatever the fuck we want to with the entire world. I like to think we're doing something good, at the very least. I mean, fuck, we're just going to take over the fucking world? No, for democracy, if not for democracy, I don't... Anyways. Should I cut all this out? I feel like I should cut all this out. No, I'll keep up. This is historic. This is historic. So I'm going to read the timeline, and then I'm going to give you my thoughts and feelings about this. So December 18th, 1 p.m., Felix and the father crossed the border. So again, you're going to have it's illegal, so therefore whatever happens, happens. That's a great deterrent, right, for the strong immigration border patrol people. It doesn't matter if a couple brown kids die of starvation or dehydration in our custody. That'll just mean that there will be less immigration. They won't chance it if they know that the Americans won't give a shit about their kids if they starve or dehydrate to death. So, about 3 miles of Paso del Norte, port of entry. There's like 30 port of entries. One of them is close to El Paso, 3 miles. So they crossed the border in El Paso, near El Paso, 3 miles. Anyways, groups can be detained in the field till transportation is provided. 4:39, December 18th, 2018. It was 1 p.m. the same day. Transferred when they crossed. This is 4 hours later. They're transferred to Paso del Norte Processing Center. And then they're provided hot food, snacks, juice, and water. They logged 6 welfare checks 2 days later at noon, December 20th. Transferred to El Paso Border Patrol Station over the next 2 days. Philippe, I'm going to say Felix. Philippe. For some reason I thought it was Felix, and Felix just seems more anglicized. I feel like American people care more for a Jacqueline and Felix than a Philippe. but Philippe is his actual name. But I read it somewhere else, and then it's pretty close. And Felix, I just, poor little Felix, poor little Philippe, yeah, but poor little Felix. So Philippe and his father were given, they're provided with showers, food, water, clothing, juice. So this place was hopping, the El Paso Border Patrol Station. It was a big juice party. So they just had a smorgasbord of food and all the water that they could possibly drink for 2 days. So 18th, they're picked up. 2 days later, December 20th, they get the smorgasbord. The agents say that they logged 6 welfare checks on the 18th, 17 welfare checks on the 20th. 4 days after they were picked up from the border, December 22nd, 11/17, they're transferred to the Alamogordo Border Patrol Station in Alamogordo, New Mexico, 80 miles away from El Paso. So they're going ahead and transferring them out of Texas into New Mexico. Again, it's happening in New Mexico. Philippe and father arrive at Alamogordo. Upon arrival, they're provided personal hygiene products. So wonderful, right? Toothpaste and underarm, and meals. And they're given several welfare checks. Not like checks, like extra money. But, hey, are you guys doing okay? Yep. Okay. There's a welfare check. And they're documenting the shit out of this. All right, so the CBD, the Customs Border Protection Agency, and there's a lot of different ones. So there's ICE, the Immigration and Custom Enforcement, or Custom something Enforcement and Removal Operations. So ICE has a thing where you're supposed to send them to long-term prison. It takes a long time. So 6 days later is when the placement request was sent to ICE, and that's December 24th. So on Christmas Eve, they requested. 6 days later, 9 a.m., a processing agent noticed that the child was coughing, appeared to be glossy-eyed. So his eyes are glossy and he's coughing. So 30 minutes later, Felix is taken to Gerald Champion Regional Medical Center with possible flu symptoms. Hospital staff conduct tests on Philippe for strep throat. Philippe was given a diagnosis of common cold and given Tylenol. 120, evaluated for release. He had 103-degree fever. He was held for continued observation. 2:50 p.m., released from the ER with prescription for ibuprofen and amoxicillin, transported to a temporary holding at Highway 70 checkpoint, offered a hot meal. 5 p.m., agents provided Philippe with a dose of prescription pills. Several welfare checks were reported. Philippe appeared to be nauseous. 7 p.m. and was vomiting. Agents cleaned up the vomit. Father declined medical service as the child had been feeling better. 10 p.m., Philippe appeared lethargic and nauseous again. No EMT was on duty, so out of caution, Philippe was transported to Gerald Champion Regional Medical Center. On the way to the hospital, Philippe kept vomiting and began to lose consciousness. 11:07 p.m., radio traffic said they arrived. 11:48 p.m., Philippe is pronounced dead. Slate reported that he had died during Christmas, just after midnight. So did the CBD, Custom and Borders Protection, CBD. So the CBD had said that he was dead after midnight, but then they just said, oh no, it was 12 minutes prior. Which the fuck is it? It's really bad if he died on Christmas, right? But a Christmas Eve death, is that any better? No, not really. So exactly when was he dead? We don't even know the exact moment they declared him dead. So Guatemala was notified on Christmas. The consulate came to the Alamogordo station to hear from the father's version of the facts. Alamogordo is 90 miles from El Paso on the U.S.-Mexican border. CBP released immediate statement, neglected a bunch of info. But don't worry, the CBP's Office of Pro-Responsibility will conduct a review. So it's the Office of Pro-Responsibility, not anti-responsibility. They are pro-responsibility. So don't you worry. Maybe professional responsibility. Not only are they responsible, but they're professionally responsible. So don't worry. CBP will investigate themselves. So Jacqueline and Felix, R.I.P. This is bullshit. Felix Alonzo Gomez is dead on Christmas. Stop pretending that Jesus Christ, the brown-skinned socialist from Bethlehem, the refugee, who's, comes from Bethlehem, and Bethlehem's under occupation now by Israel. Quit pretending he was your hero. You don't give a fuck about Bethlehem. You don't give a fuck about the brown-skinned people. You don't give a fuck about socialists or refugees. And you're going to tell me that Jesus Christ is your hero? Yeah, Merry Christmas, fucking assholes. How come you motherfuckers, you sit there and talk about Jesus more than you'll talk about Felix Alonso Gomez, Felix, say one of them, goddammit. The Alonso Gomez, Jacqueline Cal Macwin, R.I.P. Jacqueline Cal Macwin. Have you all learned her name yet? 7-year-old Guatemalan, 8-year-old Guatemalan boy. They're killing them left and right. Is this an institution, or is this just two flukes out of nowhere? Is this the point? Is this the point? Is this the point of the goddamn tougher on immigration? To go ahead and starve everybody's kids? We wrecked Guatemala. The United States wrecked Guatemala's economy, military, government. We fucked it up. We have to take some of the responsibility for what happens in Honduras and in Guatemala. We fucked up their countries for Chiquita Banana. So, 1954 coup d'etat. So, but even if we didn't, have some fucking humanity, for God's sake. You fucking psychotic pieces of shit, Your Christianity makes y'all fucking psychos. Y'all say Merry Christmas because you guys are assholes. You love to be assholes to people. And you're trying to kill them with kindness. So it's like, thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Meaning, get the fuck out of here. I'm done with this conversation. Thank you, sir. So just because it comes out as pleasant, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas to you, too. Motherfucker. Oh, Merry Christmas. Well, Merry Christmas to you. Why hasn't Christianity solved poverty in the last 2,000 years it's been around? Because they don't give a goddamn fuck. They sit around in church and pretend they have a collective delusion. They don't even talk to each other. They want God in schools. They don't even teach God in the churches. So, you goddamn, I just want to repeat this. Again, you motherfucking Merry Christmas assholes. You don't give a shit about brown-skinned people because you're racist, white supremacist pieces of shit. Jesus Christ was brown-skinned. So what's that, Caesar Borgia motherfucker that you guys are worshiping? And it's Bethlehem. Bethlehem is under occupation right now, and he's a socialist. He wanted free food and water. He just handed bread out to the multitude just for nothing. Bread and wine for everybody. For everybody, they didn't even have to pay. He's just giving food out to the poor. Who the hell does Jesus think he is? He needs to get a permit for that shit. We're sending people in jail in America for that shit. Yeah, right. Merry Christmas, assholes. Like you guys are Christians. Like you guys give a shit about other people. Give me a fucking break. Everybody said Jesus. I don't hear nobody saying Felix. Everybody's saying Merry Christmas. I don't hear anybody saying let's get some justice for Jacqueline Cal Macklin. Merry Christmas with their stupid pursed up faces. Hey, Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Shut the fuck up. Merry Boxing Day, everybody. So it's legal for refugees to approach our border and ask for asylum. If a little kid comes up and says, hey, can I stay with you? Oh, kid, I don't know where you come from. No, you can't stay with me. I got to call the government. I got to say what you're doing out here. I don't know. But I'm not going to keep a hold of you and starve you to death and dehydrate you to death. I'm not going to put you under custody. If anything, if I can't take care of you, I'm not going to, take care of you or have you in my custody and then have you die on me. If anything, I'll just, shut the door. I thought I heard something out here. And then, just pretend that, but that's the thing, is when I bring them into, if I take custody of a kid that's sitting there asking for asylum and then they die under my watch, well, I am responsible. So you are agreeing to something when you say, okay, little kid. So it's legal for refugees to approach our border and ask for asylum. They're allowed to walk up to the border, ask for asylum, apply for it, wait in Mexico, do whatever it is they need to do. For some reason, the CBP didn't give Felix a name. They immediately told on themselves, but they didn't give the name of the boy. They omitted a lot of details. I don't even know why they would do that, but it seems like even in death, they don't think that Felix was a person. So R.I.P. Jacqueline and Felix. Jacqueline was a baby Jesus girl lying in a manger, and Felix is a baby boy Jesus lying in a manger, both killed by U.S. border agents. And it's not clear to me what exactly killed Felix. Is it again? I mean, it's probably the shock of, being in our prison system, being shipped here, being shipped there. Is it dehydration? Was there food? So, overall, okay, let's see. This 8-year-old Guatemalan in Alamogordo, New Mexico. He showed signs of potential illness. He was diagnosed with a common cold. It was changed to a fever. And then they had prescribed medication, amoxicillin, which is an antibiotic, and ibuprofen. Not really a painkiller, but just two generic sort of amoxicillin. Sometimes it's hard to get antibiotics, but that's a penicillin antibiotic. And then he was released. This is the Gerald Champion Regional Medical Center. 8-year-old returned to the hospital vomiting, then died shortly afterwards. They said he had nausea, vomiting. These are the symptoms that he had: a fever, nausea, vomiting. So Guatemala wants a full probe into the death of Felix Alonso Gomez. He entered December 18th at El Paso, detained by ICE. Okay, so what do I think about this? Well, I think several things. First of all, the difference between the cases, Jacqueline was only held for 9 hours, and then she died in their custody. Here, this Felix Alonso Gomez was held for 6.5 days, which is very peculiar. 6.5 days. They make a determination. Either they send you to ICE, and ICE sorts you out, they put you in long-term prisons, or they ship you back, or they release you. So either they give you up to ICE or they release you. So there's, Homeland Security, Department of Justice, ICE, there's the Immigration and Customs Enforcement is ICE, and then you have the CBP, which is the Custom and Border Protection. So the Custom and Border Protection are different than ICE. So the Border Patrol is different than ICE, but they're all kind of on the same Homeland Security. So, and then these are actually the shutdown. These are being affected by the shutdown. So I don't know if they could actually blame this on the shutdown. If the the agents weren't getting paid, but I think they're all going to get furloughed. They're all going to get their money eventually. So just, either keep doing your job what is your job? To starve these kids? If that's your job, you all should quit. You shouldn't get paid. So I got mixed feelings about the shutdown. Should you blame it on the shutdown or not? No, not really, because they should be shut down, right? Fuck ICE. We need to get rid of ICE, and this is the second kid that they've killed. Guatemalan kid, a country that we fucked up. We overthrew their fucking government by military force, CIA, 500 men, by planes. We bombed Guatemala City. Eisenhower, 1954, caused a 36-year civil war, so until 1996, when Jacqueline's father is 7 years old. And I don't know how old his father is, Augustine Gomez. So Augustine Gomez is the father. Felix Gomez. You have some interesting things. So the whole report, if you read the whole report, if you listened to what I was saying, it made it sound like they were just bending over backwards in order to make sure that Alonso Gomez, Felix, so they were bending over backwards to make sure that Felix was getting food and a hot and a cot and showers and a whole bunch of welfare checks. They had a juice party second day they were there, big juice party, hot food, right? So they're cooking up hot food, hot cakes, hot griddle, hamburgers, just having a good old time on the taxpayer dime, right? I mean, my God, snacks and juice and water. They're asking, hey, how are you doing? 17 welfare checks. How are you doing? Okay, how are you doing? 17 times, because they care so damn much, right? I don't know if they're doing this many welfare checks because of what happened to Jacqueline. So they are changing shit. They're changing a lot of things, but they're trying to, pretend that this shit didn't happen. So he's 4 days. It takes 6.5 days. That's a big difference between Jacqueline. She was only in the custody of the Border Patrol for 9.5 hours, and here the kid was in custody for 6.5 days. So they're totally responsible for dehydration or starvation issues, and I don't know what he's going to die of, what kind of sickness he's going to die of. Really, kids are very vulnerable people, so he could be dying of the shock of sitting in jail. He could be dying of a whole bunch of diseases. There's no telling how many diseases the terrorists have put into the air and water of the United States of America, and then we get our shots before we could go to school, so most of us are inoculated, so that helps with most of us. But then you got this, anti-vaccine movement, anti-medicine movement. Just fucking read up on it. You guys are so scared about everything, read up on it. If it makes sense to you, get it. If it don't make sense, don't get it. But the way I thought that there was, the first question I was asked if somebody's sick is it bacteria or is it a virus? Because amoxicillin didn't make any sense because that's an antibiotic, meaning it kills bacteria. It's antibiotic, so amoxicillin wouldn't have done, jack shit for a virus. If it's a flu or a common cold, that's a virus. A common cold is a viral infection of the nose and throat, and so it doesn't make any sense. But I have heard that you could use it for sinusitis and a whole bunch of stuff. So it's not just virus. I guess it's kind of a catch-all. And amoxicillin is kind of a catch-all thing. They could earache and middle earache and some other shit. So, but the first question would be, is it a virus or bacteria? Because those are two different things. Virus, you kind of have to let it go through the system. But bacteria, you have to, cut it out or, kill it right then and there. So, that would be the first question. Is it a virus or is it a bacteria? And then he's diagnosed common cold. He's given some Tylenol, which, that's okay. Tylenol is what? Some acetaminophen, some acetaminophen. So acetaminophen sort of just kind of helps speeds things up. It's an analgesic, Tylenol is. But what it does, it treats minor aches and pains and reduces fevers. So that's nice, right? Kind of helps your body fight the cold or the flu. He had 103-degree fever. They held for continued observation. Basically probably had the same degree of fever, so it wasn't going up or down. And then they're going to release him an hour and a half after that. They're going to give him a prescription. They released him from the emergency room, right? So emergency room, oh my God, what's going on? So if it was a doctor's office, it wouldn't be so basically like, is it life or death? It would be like, well, let's see what this actually is. And then they give prescription for ibuprofen and amoxicillin. Like I said, it didn't make sense at first because they thought it was a virus. They were doing strep. Strep throat is bacteria, but they didn't say they had diagnosed him with strep throat, so they were testing him for strep throat. Didn't, find if it was inconclusive or it was not strep throat. So ibuprofen. It just seemed like they give two different things. Ibuprofen is non-steroidal anti-inflammatory drug. What's that? Advil, Motrin IV treats pain, fever, inflammation. Doesn't treat pain. Only painkillers treat pain: Oxycontin, Percocet, and Vicodin. So Motrin IV, Advil, ibuprofen, it treats fever a little bit and inflammation. So again, it's kind of like Tylenol. It just helps your body fight the fever. So there's nothing they could do for the flu but just give your body a little boost. And so they just give him some generic catch-all prescription drugs. So I wondered about any of those things. Could he have been allergic to penicillin, or could he have been allergic to the Motrin IV? I don't know. Probably not. He could have had something. That's a possibility. There's 40,000 kids that died of the flu last year. American kids. 40,000 American kids died of the flu. So that's very possible, living in, open cells, living in prison-like conditions, cold floors, not getting, all your nutrition, and just living in squalor and living in an oppressive, sort of militarized society. I mean, that could do something to an adult's mood, let alone a kid. I thought that how they changed the time, midnight, before midnight, or after midnight, was interesting. He died on Christmas Day. That's what I think. He died on Christmas Day, but they don't want nobody to say that. So can you go ahead and just change that log to died on Christmas Eve? Does that matter? I mean, I guess it does in terms of, is it a Christmas Day death or not? Is it a Christmas Eve death? It's fucking 12 minutes away, so what the fuck ever. It's close enough. It's around the Christmas Day holiday season. Remember when you had that Felix kid that died last year around the holiday season, around Christmas, on Christmas, right there at midnight? So, see, I'll just put it on midnight. So, does the egg fall on Christmas or Christmas Eve? Do you want the empire to be like Adolf Hitler? Do you want the empire to be a benevolent thing? We need to restrict it. We need to bring it back. So we need to have a hold on this guy. And the fact that he's restricting himself, I mean, whatever the fallout with the Turkey is, fuck the Turkey up if they do shit with the Kurds. I'll defend Kurdistan. There's a referendum, but our Iraq state went ahead and took half of Kurdistan after there was that referendum. So, what? So what? They were headed to Johnston City, Tennessee. So another difference between Jacqueline. Jacqueline, they sought asylum immediately. So as soon as they crossed the border, they went straight to the port of entry. They were not going to the port of entry. They were headed to Johnston City, Tennessee. So they found out where they were headed to. The father had been captured a couple times beforehand, and yeah. So I guess that's about it. They traveled from Ninton. It's about 280 miles away from Guatemala City, the city that Eisenhower bombed in 1954. So with American pilots. So Ninton is a village where they came from. They were going from Ninton to Johnston City, Tennessee. Tennessee surprises me. Tennessee is the home of the Ku Klux Klan. Tennessee killed Martin Luther King Jr., but there's also black people that live in Tennessee, and apparently there, some Guatemalans, some connections to Guatemala. Regardless, so I don't really see a discrepancy with the drugs or with the who is this? Why did this happen? I don't know. We will find out the cause of death eventually, but if it's something simple as dehydration or starvation, that's fucking bullshit. If they died of a flu, that's bullshit too. Died of a little common cold, died of a common cold. Jesus fucking Christ, America. That's pathetic. So 2 in a row. Is it 2 flukes? Is it 2 coincidences? Or is this an institution? Starting to feel like an institution. I think 3, you're done. 2, it feels like it's close to an institution. 3, what the fuck are you fucking doing? We should shut down Homeland Security forever. So the Justice Department, I don't know what's up with the agriculture. What's he got a problem with the agriculture department? Because it's food stamps, agriculture. That's good. Food, nutrition, farming. Anyways, that's the second Jesus Christ that died there. So, yeah, if you Christians actually truly give a shit about other people, this is a little baby Jesus. This is an 8-year-old boy. This is a little Jesus refugee. Jesus was a refugee, needed to, okay. Anyways, R.I.P. Jacqueline, R.I.P. Felix.